What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video, we're going to take a look into why you could be potentially getting lost on the lower time frames and how we can potentially look to improve that in the means of sort of psychology and your understanding of the market, and kind of making a systematical approach to the market when you actually get onto the charts early in the morning, or whether it's late in the evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is something that we're going to take a look into. So first, let's ask the question, why would you potentially be getting lost in the lower time frames? Well, if you, like me, trade Euro USD, right now, if we look on, let's just say the 4-hour time frame, we have been very consolidated with a lot of wicks, just kind of pushing up and down, sweeping lows, taking out old highs, and pretty much just chopping about, right? There has been some very nice positions in this price action, sort of day in, day out. And right now, this is the 24th of December. The last 2 days of London session haven't been too great, but if you backtest the rest of price action over the past couple of weeks, it has actually been very nice, and there's been a lot of opportunities available. So you may be thinking, when you see this price action here, you see that price is consolidated. We've got a old low and then an old high, and this is pretty much where our range stands. We stand with this high here and this low, okay, and we're pretty much ranging inside of this. Currently, taking out lows and then also taking out highs, and I believe we're going to reach up into this POI at some point, and then continue to the downside, but we have to wait and see for that. I'm not looking to take any risk entries on that. I'm looking to wait for that to kind of happen, ultimately just to sweep out all of the liquidity resting above this area here, tapping into this POI, and then continuing to the downside. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for there. Okay, so why would you be getting stuck in the lower time frames? Well, in this price action, you're kind of forced to look at lower time frame price action, right? We can't really see any higher time frame POIs inside of here. There is a few sort of here and there, but for the most part, there isn't really anything going on there. Okay, so the first thing that I want to mention and touch on is coming to the charts and then instantly just kind of ignoring the higher time frames. And like we said, unfortunately there isn't too many higher time frame POIs, but we cannot ignore the higher time frames, right? We need to be looking at least the 4-hour and the 15-minute for our expectational order flow. Also our 15-minute POIs, something that's a bit, kind of high probable to get us into a potential position. Okay, so looking at the higher time frames is an absolute must. If you're still skipping past the higher time frames and just jumping straight onto the lower time frames, right? So let's just say we load up the chart, it's 7 a.m. in the morning, London session, and the first thing that you do is, okay, price is choppy on the higher time frame. Let's just go straight down to the 5-minute time frame, right? Instantly, you're going to be disorientated, right? You're not going to have a clue where price is going. Price starts to push to the downside and then back to the upside, right? And then back to the downside and then back to the upside, right? And you're not going to have a clue what is actually happening. So you need to be looking at the higher time frames, and what you can even do is just mark off the expectational order flow, mark off your POIs, right? And do it in a systematical approach. So go from, let's just say the daily, okay? And realistically, all you need to do is just take 1 minute out of your time to get onto the daily time frame and go, okay, let's go on here, zoom into price action. Okay, so we've pushed down for the last couple of days. We didn't sweep this low, so now we're pushing to the upside. So potentially this is gonna break, okay? Because what do we expect? We have this low, and then we have this high, which took out this high, okay? So now this is a strong low, and this is now a weak high, right? So what we're anticipating is price is pushing to here, and then we're going to push further up into this POI, and then potentially look to get into a short position. Okay, so that's the first thing that we could look at. And then obviously what you can do is go, okay, that's my idea. Now, where can we look at 4-hour POIs? Okay, so first thing that comes to my site is this down close candle here. Okay, so this is down close before the push to the upside, which breaks minor structure inside of the previous range. Okay, but what we have to understand, same again, is this low did not break this low. Okay, so now we're anticipating that this is trendline liquidity and that price is going to continue to the upside, whether that be from this POI down here or whether that be from a smaller time frame POI inside of here. We have to see. Okay, we have to wait and see. So once we have this ideology, this understanding, now what we can start doing is moving down to lower time frames. So what I would then be doing is going on to the 15-minute time frame and then marking off all potential POIs of where price could react from. Okay, so we have here a down close candle, right, which broke structure to the upside here. And then we also have a down close candle here, which could potentially be seen as liquidity. We don't know, right? We have to wait and see again. So then what you can start doing is, marking off your 15-minute POIs. Sometimes you could move down to a 10-minute or a 5-minute. If the POI doesn't look very clear, what you could then do is get into, a bit of a refinement. But what you don't want to be doing is going too low and then getting, whipped out. So price moves down to here because your POI was right here, okay, and then pushing back to the upside. So try not to refine too much, stick to the actual candles, right? So this is the down close candle before this push to the upside. As you can see, I have included this wick right here because this is, pretty much what happened before this push to the upside. So this could be a potential area in which price could reach to before it potentially continues to the upside, right? So getting lost on the lower time frames, what you shouldn't be doing is actually beginning on the lower time frames, okay, and not having a clue where you're actually starting. Now, what you should do is actually get onto the market on the higher time frames and then move down. And then actually what you should be doing is using the lower time frames, so the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute. Once you are inside of one of these POIs, right, you need to start waiting for your entry model once you're inside of a higher time frame POI. If this happens, you're already putting yourself in higher probabilities than what you would be in if you just jumped straight onto the lower time frame charts and didn't have a clue where you were, right? The lower time frames are there to help you navigate the higher time frames, right? And to be able to get into lower, like smaller stop losses for your positions, okay? They're not there to get you confused and get you lost. You need to understand the higher time frames before you then get down onto the lower time frames, okay? The next thing that you need to do is understand market structure in a very concise and simple way, right? The last video which I uploaded, defining true market structure, watch that video if you haven't watched it. It should help you very much with this kind of ideology and just generally around the market. You need to be able to navigate the market in a smooth kind of approach to be able to make it repeatable and to be able to do it several times over and over and over. It's not even several times, it's all the time, right? But understanding market structure is very big, okay? So understanding that higher time frame, we are stuck inside of this range. Now what we can start doing is looking on lower time frames inside of this range, okay, to then get your POIs exactly like I just said previously, which is using the higher time frames, understanding, okay, potentially there's some liquidity being swept out of here, and then we start to move back to the upside. Okay, now we can get onto the lower time frames. Building that narrative and understanding what is happening in the market is going to help you tremendously, instead of just jumping straight onto the lower time frames and thinking, oh, I'm a scalper, I'm a day trader, I need to get in on the minute time frame and get a perfect entry, because most of the time you're going to get stopped out and you're going to be like, why, right? You're not going to understand. So unfortunately, that's kind of how it is. Jump up onto the higher time frames, okay? If you're ever questioning where you are in the market, jump up onto a higher time frame and all of your questions will be answered. So I hope this gave you some insight into why you could potentially be getting lost on the lower time frames. It's very easy to get lost on the lower time frames. Even I get lost on the lower time frame sometimes. What I have to then do is realize it, okay? If you realize it, then you can sort it out. If you don't realize it, then that's when you start getting hit, right? That's when you start taking losses. That's when you start making silly mistakes, and then you start getting FOMO, and then you start trying to make all of the money that you've just lost back, and then you lose more, and you just go into a downward spiral. Okay, so be patient, and just look at the market and say, okay, what I actually need to do is I need to get onto a higher time frame, and I need to work out where I am. If you're lost on the higher time frames, you should absolutely not be going onto the lower time frames. Okay. Just before I wrap the video up, I just wanted to let you know I've got a giveaway going on Instagram. If you just jump over to my page, check out the post, which is just down here. There is 3 giveaways that are currently happening. If you want to just check what those are, then check the post out, and just look into the comments, and what you can do is just follow the 3 steps that are provided, and then you could be in with a chance of potentially winning one of these 3 giveaways. So if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, comment and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.